Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Enam Kanvandam Maravindalaya Taksam Bhagavatam Samasitam Buddhasundaram Kandar Bhago Vikamaniya Vishesha Shobham. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Angani Yasa Sakalen Priya Priti Manti Vasyam Divam Nikayanti Jiram Naganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhu Jalam Vigrahasya Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. 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 Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami.
Jaya Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram. Jaya Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram. Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Radha Shyama Sundarada, Shyama Sundarada. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Oni Thai Tora Haribo, 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 Tora Haribo. Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakti Sadma. Bando Muhi Sabadana Mate Bando Muhi Sabadana Mate Jahara Prasade Vai Hey Bhavatoriya Ja Krishna Prapti Hoy Ja Hoyte Padmavakyai Chitete Koriyakya Arnakoriyo mane Asha Shri Guru Charane Rati Aise Utama Gati Shri Guru Charane Rati Aise Utama Tamagati. Jai Prasade Puri Sarva Asa. Jai Prasade Puri Sarva Asa. चक्षुदान दिलो जे जन्मे जन्मे प्रभु से चक्षुदान दिलो जे जन्मे जन्मे प्रभु से प्रभु दिव्य ज्ञान हृदय प्रकाशित Jnanadri de Prokasito So Prema Bhakti Jahe Ote Abhida Vina Sajate Prema Bhakti Jahe Ote Abhida Vina Sajate Vedega Jahara Charito Vedega Jahara Charito Shri Guru Karuna Sindhu Adama Janara Bandhu Shri Guru Karuna Sindhu Adama Janara Bandhu Loke na loke yo jiwana Prabhu loke na jiwana Ah Prabhu koro doya deho more pada jaya Shila Prabhupada koro doya deho more pada jaya Ebe jasa kusuti buvana Ebe jasa kusuti buvana Aha Prabhu koro doya Deho more pada chaya Araha Prabhu koro doya Deho more pada chaya Ah Prabhu koro doya Deho more pada chaya Ebe jasa kusutri bhuvana Srila Prabhupada Patita Pavana Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada Nitai Dora Haribo 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 Dora Haribo Srila Prabhupada ki Namayom Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Tinamine Namaste Saraswati Deva Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavade Praschatyade Satarine Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasade Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasade Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Gauranga, Joy Nitai, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hey! Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Bolo Bolo. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Rama Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Om Tat Sat. Dhanyavad. Hari. Back to the mask.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradham Hari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradham Hari Yashodanandana Rajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Rajajanaranjana Yamunatera Vanachari Yamunatera Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradham Hari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradham Hari Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana Yamunatera Vanachari Yamunatera Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Shama Sundara Radha Shama Sundara Hare Jaya Radha Sham Radha Sham Radha Sham Jaya Radha Sham Jaya Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram Jaya Krishna Balaram Jaya Gaurangitai 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 Jaya Gaurangitai Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jayam Vishupad, Paramaham Savruguchaya, Sota Sota Shishmachila. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. Jayam Vishupad, Paramaham Savruguchaya, Sota Sota Shishmachila. Bhakti Siranta Saraswati Thakur Goswami Srila Prabhupada ki. Ananta Kudi Vaishnavarinda ki. Jai Shri Rup Sri Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Sri Jeev Gopal Bhatta Das Saraghunath Sadhu Goswami Prabhu ki. Prem se ko Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivadari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki. Sri Radha Krishna Go Gopa Gopi Gopinath Cham Kund Radha Kundi Giri Govardhana ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham ki Jai. Mathura Dham ki Jai. Mayapanavi Dham ki Jai. Jaganapuri Dham ki Jai. Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi Bhakti Devi ki. Ganga Yamuna Devi ki. Harinam Sankirtan Yagya ki. Sri Sri Gonitai ki. Sri Sri Krishna Balaram ki. Sri Sri Radha Shama Sundar ki. Go Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Samavita Bhakta Vrinda ki. All glories to the Samala Bhaktis. All glories to the Samala Bhaktis. All glories to Sigura and Chiguranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaivarano tamam devim sarasatim vyasam tato jayamudirayet. Nashtapaye shabardeshu nityam bhagavata sevayam bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naistikim. Ete chamsa kala pumsam krishnastu bhagavan sayam indriyarvyakulam lokam ridyante yuge yuge. Nama sanketanam yasya sava papa pranashanam pranama dukkha samanastam namami harim param. Nigama kalpa tarori galidam palam sukhamukadam rita deva sammutam bibada bhagatam rasamalayam muhuro rasika bhuvi bhavukaham. We're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 7th chapter, text number 10 to 12. So text number 12 is written on the board. So I will read text number 10 and 11, and then we'll read together text number 12. Text number 10. Nate shradhadhire gopa bala bashitam vidyuta aprameyam balantasya balakasya nate vidu. Translation. The assembled gopis and gopas, unaware that Krishna is always unlimited, could not believe that baby Krishna had such inconceivable power. They could not believe the statements of the children, and therefore they neglected these statements as being childish talk. Text number 11. Rudantam sutam adaya yashodha graha sankita kritva sastyayam viprai shuktaistanam apayayat. Translation. Thinking that some bad planet had attacked Krishna, Mother Yashoda picked up the crying child and allowed him to suck her breast. Then she called for experienced brahmanas to chant Vedic hymns and perform an auspicious ritualistic ceremony. Purport. Whenever there is some danger or some inauspicious occurrence, it is the custom of Vedic civilization to have qualified brahmanas immediately chant Vedic hymns to counteract it. Maria Yashoda did this properly and allowed the baby to suck her breast. Text number 12. I will chant together. Purvavat stapitam balibhi sa parichadam vipra hutvarchayan chakrur dadin akshata kushambubhim purvavat stapitam gopair balibesa parichadam viprahutvarchayam chakrur dadyakshata kushambubhim purvavat stapitam gopair balibhisa parichadam viprahutvarchayam chakrur dadyakshata kushambubhim. Please chant. Purvavat stapitam gopair balibhisa parichadam viprahutvarchayam chakrur dadyakshata kushambubhi. Balibhisa parichadam viprahutvarchayam chakrur dadyakshata kushambubhi. Yakshata kushambubhi purvavat stapitam gopair balibhisa parichadam viprahutvarchayam chakrur dadyakshata kushambubhi. Matajis. Purvavat stapitam gopair balibhisa parichadam viprahutvarchayam chakrur dadyakshata kushambubhi. Purvavat stapitam gopair balibhisa parichadam viprahutvarchayam chakrur dadyakshata kushambubhi. Purvavat, as the hand cart had been situated before. Stapitam, again assembled with the pots situated properly. Gopai, by the cowherd man. Balibhi, all of whom were very strong and stout, and who could therefore assemble the parts without difficulty. Saparichadam, with all the paraphernalia kept on it. Vipra, the Brahmanas, Hutva, after performing a fire ceremony. Archayam Chakro, performing ritualistic ceremonies. Dadhi, with curd, akshat, grains of rice, kusha and kusha grass, ambubhi, with water. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. Translation. After the strong, stout, coward men assembled the pots and paraphernalia on the handcart and set it up as before. The Brahmanas performed a ritualistic ceremony with a sacrifice to appease the bad planet, and then with rice, grains, kusha, water and curd they worshipped the Supreme Lord. Purport. The handcart was loaded with heavy utensils and other paraphernalia. To set the cart back in its original position required much strength, but this was easily done by the coward man. Then according to the system of the Gopa Jati, various Vedic ceremonies were performed to appease the calamitous situation. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chaksuran Militam Yanam Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chetapitam Yena Bhutale Sayam Rupakadamayam Dadati Sapadantikam Bandeham Sri Guru Sri Yutabada Kamalan Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raganatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Govika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastude Tapta Kanchana Gaudangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sude Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivajari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Nama Eva Kevalam Kaulau Nastyeva Gatyaranyata Tinadapi Sunichena Tarorapi Sahishnana Amanina Madanena Kirtaniya Sada Hari Purvavat Stapitam Gopai Varivisa Paritsadam Viprahutvar Chayam Chakru Dadi Akshata Kusambhubi. After the strong stout cowmen assembled the pots and paraphernalia on the handcart and set it up as before, the Brahmanas performed a ritualistic ceremony with a fire sacrifice to appease the bad planet, and then with rice, grain, kusha, water and curd they worshipped the Supreme Lord. So Shukadeva is speaking to Parikshit Maharaj and so explaining how Krishna very easily knocked over this handcart, which was actually occupied by a demon. So the demons, especially at that time, they had mystic power, and so this demon, with a subtle form, he entered into the handcart with the idea that when Krishna is there, as Mother Yashoda put him there, that he will just crush him. He will kill him. Krishna, although he appeared as a baby in a baby form, but still he's always the Supreme Lord, Aishwarya Purna Bhagavan. Although sometimes he becomes mugdha, he becomes bewildered by his own internal potency. At the same time he is sarvagya, he knows everything. But for the purpose of the pastime he becomes bewildered. And he cries also. And he forgets that he's the Supreme Lord momentarily. So whenever there is a need then, as in this case and in other pastimes of the Lord, then he knows everything what is happening. And so effortlessly he kicked with his small, beautiful, soft feet, legs. He kicked one wheel of this handcart, which was very strong, and so much paraphernalia was on that, and it was heavy, but effortlessly, so that it was knocked over, and at the same time this demon was killed. Hare Krishna. So everyone was quite disturbed when they saw that, and what happened, and Mother Yashoda came, Nanda Baba, and they were bewildered how this happened. They could not understand how this handcart had collapsed practically by itself, because nobody else was there to do something like that. But then the other small children which were there, so they were saying that actually it was Krishna who touched the wheel of this handcart, and then the thing just collapsed, fell over. But Maria Yashoda, Nanda Baba and the other elder Gopas and Gopis, they could not believe that, because they had so much love for Krishna, and they saw Krishna as their child. As a small child, they did not know that Krishna is the Supreme Lord, by Yoga Maya, by the internal potency. So therefore, as explained in the 10th verse, so that they could not believe that Krishna could do something, and therefore they were saying, "Oh, this what these small boys are saying, balakasya." So the small boys, what they are saying, we cannot believe that. It is just some childish talk, and therefore they neglected that. So we know the children, they will say so many things which may not make much sense. But in this case, actually, it was the truth. What they saw, it was the truth. And they were just saying the truth. But because usually children, they are saying so many things and you cannot believe them. Therefore, they were not listening to them, and they were thinking maybe due to some bad planet, as explained in text number 11, Graha Sankita, due to the influence of the planets. So this just happened. And therefore, she called the Vipras, the Brahmanas, and to chant some auspicious mantras. Swasti Ayanam, Swasti Vachan, chanting mantras for auspiciousness. Shuktai from the Vedic literatures, from the Vedas, from the 4 Vedas. Even actually on the daily basis, those who are worshipping the Lord, they will chant these auspicious mantras. Because when we are worshipping the Lord, everything has to be auspicious. And therefore, before starting to worship the deities, one will chant some mantras for purification, so that one is properly situated on a transcendental platform. Because one can worship Krishna only when one is transcendently situated, because Krishna is completely transcendental. beyond the three modes of material nature, and in order to approach him, one has to be transcendently situated. And so therefore the pujaris, the priests, they will chant mantras also for auspiciousness. Svasti vachan, Om Sasino Govinda, Sasino Chutnanto, Sasnava Sareveshwar Dhatu, Sasne Nanairan Narovai, and so on. Or directly, so here calling out the names of the different incarnations of the Lord, different expansions of Krishna. But then also some Swasti Vachan, some auspicious mantras directly glorifying Krishna. Like Om Krishna Vai Satchanandana Ganaha Krishnari Purusha Krishna Purushotama Krishna Ukarma Ni Moolam Krishna Saha Sarvakaya, and so on. So the Krishna is the Adi Purush, and then by chanting these different mantras, then Krishna becomes pleased and everything is auspicious. Om Madhavo Madhavo Vachi Madhavo Madhavo Riddhi Smaranti Sarva Sarve Sarvakaya Shamadhavam. Om Madhavo Madhavo Vachi. Madhav, another name of Krishna, is always there in my speech. And always remembering Madhav while doing all the different services. So in this way everything becomes auspicious. So if something inauspicious is happening in the life of those who are worshipping the Lord, and in this case here the Brijvasis also, so they immediately call the Brahmanas, the qualified Brahmanas, and they ask them to chant this different auspicious mantras to counteract the influence of the planets. Here, bad planet. Of course, ultimately everything is auspicious for the devotee. At the same time, the different planets are there. 9 Navagraha. And even the tradition is, as explained here, then some puja is done for the 9 planets. But of course the Vaishnavas, they will not directly worship the planets, like the different planets are there. Of course the sun and moon are special, and but then even Mangal Graha, the Mars planet, Jupiter, Venus, and so on, the different planets are there, and they are demigods and presiding over these planets, and they have some influence on the lives of the conditioned souls. Even, for example, the astrologers are there and they will see the chart and the horoscope of a person, seeing the situation of the planets. So it is a science, and they can see if something bad will happen to a person according to the chart, according to the horoscope, where the planets are situated. So it is a great science. And usually the Brahmanas, they were conversant with astrology and Ayurveda also. So they could help the householders in living peacefully. And if there was a need, then they were doing these different ceremonies, yagyas, anustan, to counteract the bad effects of the planets. But as Vaishnavas, we're not worshipping directly these Navagraha, these 9 planets, but we worship the Lord of the planet. And so that is always the Supreme Lord, Krishna, or his different expansions. For example, although Ramchandra appeared in the Surya Vangsha, but is the Lord of the Surya Vangsha. So if there's some difficulty according to the horoscope also in regards to the sun is not in a good position, then Ramachandra will be worshipped. And the Lord of the moon, that is Krishna himself, although he appeared in the Chandra Vangsha. And of course, ultimately for the Vaishnavas, just by depending on Krishna, then everything will be adjusted. Because everyone is subservient to Krishna. But still sometimes, if some difficulty is there, then even if, for example, in Orissa, all the devotees there are actually the Vaishnavas, they will chant the Dashavata Stotram by Jayadeva Goswami in his famous book Gita Govind, which is a beautiful description is there about the wonderful loving exchange of Krishna with Srimati Radharani. So there in the invocation, the Mangalacharan, so invocation, the auspicious mantras are chanted, and with the same actually purpose, to appease the planets, or if there's some fault according to the horoscope, by taking shelter of the Dashavatars, and then everything is adjusted properly. And so therefore they will chant on a daily basis, or if there's a ceremony, sometimes this 9 Kalki avatar actually is not being worshipped, is not presiding over the planet, but the other 9. So, for example, the Mars planet, the Lord of the Mars planet, that is Nrishingadev. So if there's a Mangal Dosh, there's some difficulty with the Mars planet, then Nrishingadev is worshipped. And for example, Buddha, Mercury is there, and for that the Lord of the Mercury planet, that is Buddha Dev himself, Lord Buddha. And the Jupiter, Thursday, so the presiding deity of that is Vaman Dev. So the Brahmanas, they are knowledgeable, they are experienced, and also is explained elsewhere. So if the Brahmanas are properly situated, then they can actually, by worshipping this, the Lord of the different planets, and by chanting the auspicious mantras, then they can appease them, and then they can also bless all those who are participating. And therefore they call the Brahmanas to bless little Krishna. Of course, Krishna is the Supreme Lord, but in the past time, so they call the Brahmanas to bless little Krishna, to bless themselves also. And we have to understand that ultimately we need the help. Of course, the spiritual master is foremost, but then we need the help of the other Vaishnavas, especially those who are more advanced, the Brahmanas or the sannyasis. And then with their blessings we can properly do our bhajan, our performance of devotional service, our chanting of japa, and then we can advance. But in this material world there are always difficulties, so therefore sometimes different ceremonies are performed, as they were doing here. And even according to the Vaishnavas, so that is explained, that sometimes the different ceremonies are performed. And of course the different samskars are there, purificatory rites, which the householders have to perform for the children. Just like for the conception, so the Garbhadan samskar is there, and the wife is pregnant, and at least 1 or 2 samskars are performed, and then there's always a fire sacrifice, and Guru, Gauranga and Krishna are worshipped. And then also the other expansions of the Lord, if there is an elaborate performance. So in this way one can live peacefully. And for example, if one is building a house, a new house, and then ceremony is performed also. Actually, before starting to build also, first there is Bhumi Puja, worship of the earth, and the planet, the land. But of course there are always, whatever ceremony is there, the Ishtadev is worshipped, Guru, Gauranga, Krishna. They are the Lord of our lives. And then the Prithvi Devi, the personified goddess of the planet Earth, is worshipped. And then Varun Dev is respected, and others may be respected also. And then before the building is built, usually Anantashesh is established also under the building, with the idea that he will hold and protect the building. And then when the house is built, and then this Griha Pravesh ceremony, entering the house, and that time again one will worship the Lord, and the Vaishnavas are invited, 5 sacrifices performed, and then there will be prasadam for everyone also. So in the text number 12, so it is explained here that Purvavat means just as it was before. So before the handcart was nicely situated and so much paraphernalia was there, and so it was Stapitam, it was kept together by the Gopas, Balibi. So it is mentioned they were very strong, of course, because the Vaishyas, they are taking care of the cows, and so they will drink milk every day. It is natural, and of course then they will give to the children, they will use for the deities. But by drinking milk, one becomes very strong physically, and it will actually develop also the brain, so one can think properly, and one can then serve the Lord. One will have good intelligence, and one becomes very strong physically by drinking milk. And not only that, because simply by drinking milk and eating nice prasadam, one may be strong, but one has to work also. One has to do some seva. So the Gopas, they're taking care of the cows, and for this you need energy also to control the cows and bring them out to the pasturing ground and then bring them back again. So they have to walk, good exercise. And then they have to take care of the land, plowing the land, of course with the help of the bull, but it is a hard labor is there. So they're eating nicely and they're working nicely, so they become very strong physically. So therefore for them very easily they could pick up the hand cart and assemble it again as before and put all the paraphernalia on top. And after that when everything was again nicely arranged, then the Brahmanas, they were asked to do a ceremony, a fire sacrifice, which they did expertly. And so here it is also mentioned that they had the auspicious items here. Dadi Akshat Kusham Bubi. So dadi is used in the ceremony, yogurt. Of course milk is used also in the ceremony, and ghee to do the yagya, ghee is used. And akshat. Akshat means, here it is explained, rice grains. So actually akshat is a mixture of, it is rice, but it is mixed with haldi, with turmeric. And turmeric is also very beneficial. It is good for the health in many ways. So that is always used during the ceremony, haldi, and it is mixed with the rice. And then, for example, the pots who are established, they are put on the akshat and the rice and the haldi. And the place, the yagya is also decorated nicely with akshat or with haldi and the rice powder. And while chanting the different mantras, for example, especially Swasti Vachan, when the Swasti Vachan is chanted, then the Brahmanas, they're also offering and the grains. Om Sasino Govinda Sachino Chutnanto Sasnavashare Vishwadatu, then in all the directions, they're throwing some of the grains, and in all the directions, up and down and behind. So in order so by chanting the names of the Lord, the atmosphere is purified, but also just by throwing these auspicious items, the place is purified. And of course water is required, always pure water from the holy river, or if there's no holy river, then from the well or from a flowing river, clean water is taken, and then actually holy rivers are called. Ganga Chaya Yamuna Chaiva Godara Saraswati Narmade Sindhu Kaveri Jalisim Sanidim Kuru. So the Brahmanas, because they are properly situated and worshipping the Lord, and also actually when the ceremony is performed, they are establishing the kalash, the pots, and they're calling the deity in the pot and then worshipping the deity in the pot. And so for them, so they can call Krishna, the Supreme Lord, in the pot. Of course Krishna is in the heart, Krishna is everywhere, but when you are worshipping, so we have to have Krishna present there, so it's called in the pot, or the different other expansion, Vasudev, Shankarshan, Pradumna, Niruddha are called and worshipped. But also the holy rivers are called because everything has to be pure. So the holy rivers are pure, and they are great personalities like Ganga, Yamuna. So Ganga Devi is there, there's a presiding deity of the river also. So they have the power because of their daily worship of the Lord, and even they are respecting them every day, the holy rivers, and they're calling every day the holy rivers for the worship of the Lord. They may have a pot or a conch shell and they call the holy rivers, Ganga Chaya, Yamuna Chaya, Godavari, Saraswati. And then the holy rivers are present, and they will use that for the worship of the Lord to purify the place. Although everything is supposed to be clean, which is used in the service of the Lord, but still, because always there may be some subtle influence or even ghostly beings may be there, like it is, as Prabhupada mentioned, that he took this subtle form just like a ghost, this demon, and then he was there in the handcart. So in order to chase them away, these mantras are chanted and water is sprinkled, and even sometimes there's dust around in the air, and that will go on the paraphernalia. So everything has to be purified. All the only pure and clean items are brought for the ceremony, but then everything has to be purified by mantra and by sprinkling it with water. And then so the Brahmanas who are absorbed in Brahman, that is a Brahmana, and the Supreme Brahman, that is Krishna. So they are fully absorbed in worshipping the Lord every day and throughout the day. Therefore they have this power, and they can rectify the situation if something is inauspicious. But the Brahmanas, because of their expertise, they make it auspicious. So according to time, place and circumstances. So therefore the Brahmanas are called. And then when they do their worship of the Ishtadev, in our case Guru Gauranga Krishna, and then they call Agni Dev, and to revive media of the fire, so the demigod of the fire, then they will worship Yagavai Vishnu, that is offered to Vishnu, or then even to Krishna and Krishna's associates. First the Lord is worshipped by Gandapush Dubni Naivedya, by offerings of flowers, chandan, incense, ghee lamp and sambhoga. But then after Agni Dev is called, and he is worshipped also. Agni Dev is a demigod, but through him it is offered to the Lord, to Vishnu. Yagya by Vishnu. Vishnu is the yagas performed for the pleasure of Vishnu, the expanded form of Krishna. And so then the ahutis are offered, ghee is offered, and auspicious herbs and grains are offered during the ceremony for the pleasure of Vishnu ultimately. And then also, so the yagas is actually always in three parts. The first part is known as Kushandika, where the Lord is worshipped and the associates of the Lord with incense and flowers and ghee lamp and bhoga, and auspicious mantras are chanted, and then the actual ceremony is performed. Like for example in this case, so in order to make everything auspicious, there is a Mangal Homa. Mangal Homa. So Homa means the offering, and Mangal means in order to create auspiciousness. And sometimes the devotees, they may also do that. Sometimes they will call Nrishingadev and worship Nrishingadev for protection, and that is known then as Nrishinga Homa. Or they will call also Sudarshan Chakra, the transcendental weapon of the Lord, and that is known as Sudarshan Homa. And so different ceremonies may be performed for protection, for auspiciousness. And then in this way, the Lord is pleased, and then when the Lord is pleased, everyone is actually pleased, the demigods also, and then things will be adjusted, and one can continue one's life to some extent peacefully till the next problem is coming. So that is always in this life, we have to perform our devotional service, and then we have to make some adjustment, this problem, that problem. Of course, then always depending on Krishna, And then ultimately, the most important activity is chanting the holy names, the Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So small problems are there, then we just continue chanting the holy names, or we may then pray to Nrsingadev also. But if there's some more serious problem, then the Brahmanas are called, and then an auspicious ceremony is performed to counteract the bad effects, just like in this case here. So in this way, then peace is there again, and then life can go on. And as we can see in here Krishna's pastimes, even Prabhupada has explained, and the previous acharyas, almost every day something happened, and a demon is coming, or this problem, that problem. And we can see in our own life practically every day, especially if we have to manage the temple, or if you're in a position of management, then almost every day is a problem. And we have to work on counteracting the problem. And so that is just part of life. But if a serious problem is there, then it is good to do some auspicious activity. So therefore also Srila Prabhupada introduced the chanting of the Maha Mantra, Akanda Sankirtan, 24-hour chanting of the holy names, because that is the most auspicious activity, most important activity is chanting the holy names. So in order to counteract the influence of the bad planets or the effects of demoniac people, so introduce the chanting of the holy names in the temple by establishing a Akanda Kirtan Mandali. And so he was doing, so for some time it was done, but then there were not enough devotees, it was stopped. But then Narendra Prabhu, in 1986, he reintroduced the chanting of the holy names throughout the day and night. So there's 24-hour kirtan, and in this way we are protected from all bad influences. But still, sometimes you have to do something extra also. Just like coronavirus is there, we get sick, and then we have to take medicine, and then so that is just part of life, and we have to live with it. But always depending on Krishna, and so when we do our normal devotional service, especially we have to take care that we nicely chanting the holy names collectively by 24-hour kirtan, and even while I'm speaking here now, there's one devotee of the 24-hour kirtan who is chanting japa, because the Maha Mantra, Saranga Thakur is there also, because 24 hours the Maha Mantra should be chanted, and then everything becomes auspicious. But individually also, so not only collectively we have to chant the Maha Mantra, and everyone should take part in Sankirtan at least for some time. Those who are in the Sankirtan Mandali, so they will chant for 6 hours at least. Others, they have other service, they cannot sit for 6 hours, but at least some time for Mangalatik or Guru Puja or Sandhyatik. We should try to take a little bit part in Sankirtan in the temple, or we should do at home if we are staying at home, especially during the lockdown, what to do. Then we have to do at home with the family members. But then also japa, we have to chant good japa. What is the meaning of Sankirtan also? Chanting together, but also some you group in a kirtan, being absorbed in chanting the holy names, that is Sankirtan. So even while you're doing japa, that is for yourself, but even for the pleasure of the Lord, you have to be completely concentrated in chanting and hearing nicely, and preferably also remembering Krishna, because Krishna Nama are different. Although in the beginning we may not see Krishna while we're chanting, but therefore we're taking darshan of the deities, we're serving the deities, so sometimes you can remember Krishna while chanting the holy names. And we are hearing about Krishna these pastimes, so we can remember Krishna while chanting also sometimes. But then in purified consciousness, the pure devotee, because the consciousness is pure, then automatically Krishna will manifest when he's chanting, and then the pastimes will manifest. So that is Shuddhanam, pure chanting. So we have to work on ourselves and we have to make a conscious effort to chant nicely the Mahamantra in japa. In Kirtan it is easier because many devotees are there and then Maya cannot penetrate so much. But if you are alone, then the mind is alone and then material energy is there and then so many times the mind is carried away. And then the consciousness is going with the mind, on the chariot of the mind, riding here and there. So, but you have to understand, so we have to chant with some bandhigyan, knowing our position. I'm not this body, I'm spirit soul, I'm completely separate from the gross and subtle body. And I'm chanting for the pleasure of the Lord. So we should be transcendently situated and not listen to the mind. And then we have to pray to Guru Gauranga and Krishna, offer some beautiful prayers. While chanting with the mind also, we have to engage the mind positively so that we can chant properly. And sometimes if the mind is not listening, you beat him 100 times with a stick in the morning and with a shoe in the evening. But that will usually not do, only beating. Just like with a child. You cannot control the child simply by beating. But you have to give some positive engagement. You have to speak nicely. You have to try to make the child understand what he should do and what he should not do. Similarly, the mind is like a child. And we have to sometimes beat him, beat the mind, and sometimes you have to speak nicely to him. My dear mind. Like Raghunath Das Goswami, he wrote a small book, Mana Shiksha. Shiksha to the mind. And there is saying, Guru Goste Gostari Sasajam Bhusurgam Samantra Sri Namni Navayodvande Sharane Sadadam Behitva Kururati Mapurvavtitaram Aye Bratre Svanta Adyache Chatubi Dritapadai. I'm taking shelter. I'm begging to you. The soul, Raghunath Das Goswami, pure devotee, just to teach us, is praying to his mind, my dear mind, I'm begging to you. I'm speaking to you with sweet words. Please listen to my advice. And with rati, with some attachment, some love, you chant the holy names. And sadadabba hitva, always give the pride, give up the pride. I'm a special devotee, I'm this and that. No, I'm completely insignificant. I'm the servant of the devotees. And then with this transcendental attachment, remember the spiritual master, the bridge basis, and offer respect to the Brahmanas, to other Vaishnavas. Take full shelter of the holy names, the Gayatri mantras, and in this way the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna. So sometimes you have to pray to the mind also. And then chant some praise and glorification of Krishna Nam. Madaram Madurebhyopi Mangalevyopi Mangalam Pavanam Pavanebhyopi Harinam Eva Kevalam. Krishna Nam is so sweet, no different from Krishna, and most purifying, most auspicious. Mangalam. Madhuram Madhuram, Etam Mangalam Mangalanam, Sakala Nikamavar, Chitphalam Satsarupam. So then Krishna Nam is most sweet and most auspicious. Most auspicious activities chanting the holy names. And then by doing that, so then we are properly situated and everything will be fine. So we have to take full shelter and chant nicely japa and take part in Sankirtan. And if there's a big problem, then we do some sacrifice also. Hare Krishna. But we don't have so much problem just now, so we don't have to do a sacrifice. But maybe in the future, who knows? Mataji has a question. Mataji here, Devi Shakti Mataji.
Prabhuji, Srila Prabhupada told us in his house that the Srimad Bhagavatam class is the same as Kirtan.
Yes.
Also Kirtan.
Yes, that is true.
And when Srila Prabhupada was present here, there was never chanting of japa during class.
Okay.
This is something that happened only after I ever started this.
Yes.
So this never went on during Prabhupada's time of the chanting of japa during Srimad Bhagavatam class.
Yeah, okay, that is all right. And at that time, Prabhupada's time, I mean, they could hardly maintain the 24-hour kirtan, as you know. And very quickly after that, they had Prabhupada's beautiful Krishna meditation, which was very beautiful, but Prabhupada wanted 24 Ghanta Kirtan. And actually it is the tradition, and we have to be, I feel we have to, of course Prabhupada gave some instruction, and it is true that the Bhagavatam is no different from Krishna, that is Kirtan. Even dressing the deities. One time I was dressing the deities in New York. I was for a visit I went to New York, the visit lasted 3 years. I was going for Ratha Yatra, and then they're dressing the deities in the afternoon. Prabhupada established dressing the deities in the afternoon in New York, Los Angeles, and New Vrindavan, according to Nitya Lila, because Krishna is coming back from the pasturing grounds, and then he has to change his clothes because he's getting dirty, transcendently dirty, although he's pure, Brajraj is pure. And so then Prabhupada introduced, and then dressing the deities. I was dressing the deities before the Sunday feast, and then I was listening Prabhupada lecture always while dressing the deities in the afternoon. In the morning we chant mantras, so we cannot hear. And then Prabhupada is speaking about preaching and chanting the holy names and doing Sankirtan and Kirtan. And then he's saying, and dressing the deities. And I was dressing the deities. That is also Kirtan. Because then the deities are beautifully decorated, the people come and then they see, oh, the deities are so beautiful. Like the people come here, the deities are so beautiful. And so then, and in this way, then by worshipping the deities, then we are also glorifying Krishna, and that is also Sankirtan. So Sankirtan is also the matter of the consciousness. We want to take part in Sankirtan. And ultimately then everything becomes Kirtan or Sankirtan if we are joining the Sankirtan movement and doing what Prabhupada said. So then it is mentioned, for example, also Kirtaniya Sadahari. Mahaprabhu said, you should chant always the holy names. And for example, when we are dressing the deities, and for example, then we are also chanting mantras. You can do both things. We are cooking, we're chanting Hare Krishna. Vibhu Chaitanya was cooking, was chanting the holy names, because we should always chant Hare Krishna, even while sleeping, even while taking prasadam. So it is a tradition by some Vaishnavas, Gauri Vaishnavas, they will chant, they will take prasad. But then we should serve prasad, we should not just enjoy. And then suddenly one devotee will say, Madhuram Madhurebhyopi Mangalebhyopi Mangalam Pavanam Pavanebhyopi Hare Nama Heva Kevalam. And then he will chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And everyone is chanting while taking prasadam. Also while sleeping, if we wake up in the night and then we have to go to the bathroom, we chant Hare Krishna. And so we can chant the Mahamantra always when you're worshipping the deities. So ultimately we can chant always, even while the class is going on. That is the mood that the 24-hour, the Mahamantra should be chanted all the time. And I never heard Prabhupada that he said that you should not chant japa while you give the class. And it is true that kirtan is there. And at the same time, I mean, you do, for example, we give the class, it is kirtan, we worship the deities, it is kirtan, but at the same time, even while we are worshipping the deities, we are chanting the holy name, and that is wonderful. Similarly, if the mood is there that we should have 24-hour, the Mahamantra for 24 hours, I mean, there is not really any harm that one devotee is chanting japa while the class is going on, and is also listening, and is chanting and listening. I mean, basically there's not really any harm in doing that. But it is true that speaking Bhagavatam, that is kirtan, that is true. And usually we are listening, we are supposed to listen and be attentive, but if the 24-hour kirtan, if they want to have the kirtan, the Mahamantra chanted 24 hours, that is wonderful, and we should not have any objection. I don't think so it's a problem, and I don't think so it will be displeasing to Prabhupada as far as I'm concerned. That is my humble opinion. Yes. What's that?
I remember that it's in the class of Bhagavad-Gita, Darshan, he advised us to not chant during the kirtan, during the class, because the mind is tired after.
Yes, that is true, and the general, yes.
So much hearing.
Yes.
It's not good. It's better to be quite attentive, to do one thing, one step, and after another.
Right, that is true. Yes, and then we agree.
Respectuous for the
yes.
speaker,
Yes.
But the person is like,
Yes.
don't participate.
Yes. Now I fully agree with that. And that when the speaker is there, actually it's true, especially with the senior devotees speaking, all the devotees should listen and they should not chant japa. That is one thing. At the same time, but if the 24-hour kirtan, they want to have 24 hours the Maha Mantra, then they may chant also. But the general devotees who are not in the 24-hour kirtan, they should simply listen, it is obvious. So we have to understand the things clearly, and then I think we have to reconcile also, and we have to adjust, and we have to accommodate everyone, and different devotees, they may have different views, and we have to respect everyone. Yes.
Roji, thank you very much. You gave us some deep insights about astrology. My question is, usually when we consult an astrologer, they always make hypothetical assumptions. So
Yes.
they do not give us exact, what can happen in future. What is your understanding on that?
Yes. Actually, the astrologer, they can see something according to astrology. Of course, there must be expert astrologers, and at the same time, they cannot 100% say that this will happen, because things can change also. If one is surrendering to Krishna, then things can change in one's life, even according to astrology also. And even the astrologer, they will say, if somebody is surrendering to Krishna, astrology will we can still see astrology and get some guidelines from there, but because they are surrendered to Krishna, Krishna is taking care of them, and so therefore so it may not be completely applicable, the horoscope for the devotees. But it may not be. It is up to Krishna, and Krishna will just use the devotees' life, whatever is auspicious for him then, or what is needed.
So in other words, if we may not consult an astrologer, it is perfectly all right.
Right. We don't have to take the advice of the astrologers in order to make progress in your spiritual life. In order to make progress in your spiritual life, you have to take shelter of the spiritual master, a representative of the Lord, and you depend on Krishna. Then you will be all right. Just for auspicious ceremonies, then sometimes astrology is consulted to have the auspicious time, and then we should have an auspicious place, and then everything may be more auspicious. So you can get some guidelines, but we don't depend on the astrology. We depend on Guru, Gauranga, and Krishna always. Even Prabhupada, he made some statements that anyway, the things will happen in the future, and you cannot change it according to astrology. So why you go to the astrologer? It will happen anyway. Because at the same time, Prabhupada also referred to that the Brahmanas, they were giving advice according to astrology. So we have to have a kind of balance, and we have to reconcile. You can use astrology, and it can be helpful to some extent, but we have to depend on Krishna. Like with everything, even medicine. We have to take medicine, but we have to depend on Krishna, because medicine alone will not work. So we have to understand the things in a proper way. Is that all right? Okay. Okay, we stop here. Srila Prabhupada ki.
Krishna, Hare